Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to Red Devils TV. Now, I'm sorry it's been a while. I have had a few technical issues. I have bought myself a new laptop now, so hopefully the streams are a lot more better with quality. And yeah, let's just get right into it. So anyway, I'm joined with Cobbs and Nick tonight. Nick, as you all know, is a regular of the channel, and Cobbs making his debut for Red Devils TV. So it's great to have you on the channel. But anyway, let's get right into the video. So as we've titled the thumbnail, the reason you're clicking on this video is that transfer ban. And this is where we've received news this morning that Manchester United are apparently receiving a transfer ban until the sale is over. Now, this is where I've titled this bit, the Glazers backstab Erik Ten Hag, which is very upsetting and frustrating, in my opinion, because we're getting linked to Declan Rice, Mason Mount, left, right, and centre. But then from the Disco Mirror, we're being reported that the Glazers are now putting a stop on the transfers until the sale is done. So, Nick, I'll come to you first. What do you think is actually going on? Do you believe the report on the Disco Mirror saying that the Glazers aren't going to make any transfers, or do you believe the reports are from Fabrizio Romano saying that United are linked to Mason Mount and Declan Rice? What were your thoughts on that, pal?
Fabrizio is a top guy. I'd like to just stick with him. Obviously, I'm sure if there was a transfer ban, I'm sure he'd be one of the first people to know, with the top source guy in the world. Like, you know how popular and famous he is for his transfers and whatever. You'd like to think he'd know if something like that had happened.
Yeah, I completely agree. And the frustrating thing is, like you say, that it's Fabrizio Romano is very, very credible, and he's a very exciting, well, not exciting, but he's a very professional guy. And he only seems to tweet out the most important things. So, Cobbs, I'm just going to ask you a quick question, mate. And what are your thoughts on Mason Mount joining Man United? What are your thoughts on that, pal?
Okay, so looking at Ten Hag and the kind of style he likes to play, Ten Hag likes players with athleticism, and I think Mason fits that bill. Mason is pacey, he's smart, he's quick, counter presses well, he's very athletic, and Ten Hag likes his football to move around athletic and pacey players. So I think during this transfer market, we're going to get more of players who are very, very athletic. That's my thought on Mason's addition. So we following up on Mason, I'm not surprised. I'm not really surprised.
Yeah, and with what you're saying, obviously, like Mason Mount is a very athletic type player, and I agree on that sense that Mason Mount would bring a lot to our attack. So, Nick, obviously, as we were just saying with the Glazers and stuff, that with the Glazers, it's kind of frustrating, but can you understand why the Glazers are putting a transfer ban and wait until the sale's done? Because realistically, they're not showing any interest in Manchester United. They haven't for many years. They've never really dug out their own pocket. They've actually took money out of the club for their own benefit. So are you surprised by this possible news that United aren't going to be signing any players until the sale's over?
I'm not surprised if it's true. The only reason I can think, or I'm sure the reason the Glazers have done it, is because they don't want to spend the money. So like when they make the sale, they haven't got to make as much money back. So say if they spend 200 million now, they've got to make the 200 million back in the sale, So if they don't spend anything now, they'll profit more if they do a full sale, they'll profit the money that way, So that's the only reason I can think why they've put a ban on it, if they have put the ban on.
Yeah, I agree in that sense, and I was trying to actually get the screen recording feature up where I could find the tweet, but I'm going to have to do a bit more playing about. I'm not really sure how to work with this laptop yet. But anyway, with the actual report itself, it is from a Disco Mirror, which is quite a credible source, and they have been quite successful with reports and stuff in recent times. But from what I'm seeing is that there's no actual big United outlets out there that are reporting this. They've mentioned that the Glazers are struggling or Man United are struggling to find a fee with Chelsea for Mason Mount, but the average is that United have recently just paid £50 million for Mason Mount, and Chelsea want about 60 to 65 million. So, Nick, just with you, I'm just going to ask that. What do you value Mason Mount at? Because for me, I value him at about 50 million because he is a very good player. I do really like him. He has had a bit of an off season with Chelsea this season, but Chelsea have been all over the place. But with Mason Mount is that the way I look at him, he's kind of had the season Marcus Rashford did last season, where Rashford was down and out. Everyone was saying to get rid of him at the start of this season. And then, lo and behold, he goes and becomes our top goal scorer, getting 30 goals in all competitions and getting 11 assists. He's had a great season, Marcus Rashford season. So I'm kind of thinking that a change of scenery for Mason Mount, playing a bit more pragmatic and attacking football, will definitely suit Mason Mount. So, Nick, just asking you, what are your thoughts on Mason Mount as an actual player? Because we've not spoke about him since, because obviously doing transfer windows.
He's still quite young. He'd fit in the team very well. Obviously, we've got quite a lot of youngsters in our team, like Rashford, Garnacho, Anthony, Martial, if he stays, Casemiro, if he's a good team player, you know, or Bruno Fernandes. So I can't see any reason why he wouldn't fit in. It's just how much they want from him.
Yeah, I agree with you. And do you think that Chelsea are right to actually be asking that much money for Mason Mount, considering he's only got 1 year left in his contract?
I want to say no. I think the only reason they're going that high is they're trying to make the money back from all the money they spent.
Yeah, most likely. But we'll move on, because Mason Mount is... Well, actually, no, let's just stay on for a second, because... For me, the reason why, I put a tweet out this afternoon that I personally feel like that, well, because Manchester United tweeted today that on the 27th of June, Man United are going to be releasing their home kit. Yeah. And as we know, United always delay the transfers at the start of the transfer window until the shirt is released. So then they can sell the shirts for the first few days, then announce the major signing, and then the sales go back up. That's the way Manchester United have always run their football club. So Mason Mount, very famous English international, and no doubt he will be a very nice player to be in that first shirt sale. So no doubt that I believe that probably by the end of June, probably about the 30th of June, we probably will get this Mason Mount deal done. So would that give your hopes up a little bit, or do you think that's been a bit too optimistic, the fact that the Glazers are obviously reportedly not making any transfers, but when we've got personal terms agreed, when we've got all the add-ons and everything agreed, what are your thoughts on that?
I'd like to think it would go ahead, but with Glazers, you don't know. You can't. They're unpredictable.
Yeah, it's the frustrating thing. But anyway, going to his best friend, Declan Rice. Now, today we have reports that the Declan Rice bidding war begins. Now, Fabrizio Romano has been open about this, and this is obviously a credible source because it is Fabrizio Romano. But for the last probably about 2 to 3 weeks, it's been Arsenal and Declan Rice, and they just can't agree a fee with West Ham.
Yeah.
But today we've had reports that Declan Rice is now on Man City's wanted list, as well as Manchester United's. So with Declan Rice, obviously a sensational player, but for some reason they hold him out to be about 100 to 120 million pounds. Declan Rice is nowhere near that value. I would say that he's probably around the 60 to 70 million pound mark.
Yeah.
But again, Declan Rice only has 1 year left on his deal. And that's the frustrating thing that with these teams, that these English players who are decent, but realistically, if they were French, from Ghana, if they were from any other country in the world that wasn't a very exciting nation, no doubt that they would be worth half the price than what they're being reported to be. So with Declan Rice, I can say that I'd love him at Manchester United. He's absolutely brilliant. But when you've got teams like Man City and Arsenal, who both teams have recently challenged for the league, I would say Man United have kind of not their foot is not in the door at this point. So with Declan Rice, I would love him at Man United. But when United are being thrown into the name of the bidding war, if United can't even agree terms with Mason Mount, but if we can't agree the actual fee with Chelsea, there's no point we're going to be negotiating with West Ham at the same time, because with the money they'd want, the best thing United could do is what being reported today is that United are going to offer £50 million for Declan Rice plus Harry Maguire and Anthony Elanga. Now, Nick, we've been open about Anthony Elanga and Harry Maguire in previous shows where we did our keep or sell, and we both agreed that we would sell both players. So what do you think on that deal? Do you think that's a possible deal, or do you think that that's just United being a bit like trying to get the look, really?
If they could get it done, I wouldn't have a problem with the deal. I think it'd be good. They're not spending as much money. What they say, Harry Maguire, I don't know if they put a price on what they're worth, but if they can get the deal done for 50 million, both of them, I couldn't see a problem with that if that can go ahead.
Yeah, and the thing is as well is that just bringing it back to Mason Mount as well is that the personal terms agree with Mason Mount. We didn't even mention that Mason Mount has rejected Chelsea's £200,000 a week offer, which is what Manchester United have offered him. So obviously Chelsea are still reluctant to try and keep Mason Mount, but Mason Mount wants the Manchester United move. So there's quite a few fans in this fan base that do say that they want players with passion. So if Mason Mount is rejecting his boyhood club, who's offered him the same contract as what Manchester United have had, then that should be a good sign from Mason Mount's perspective and from what he's offering to Manchester United fans. But with Declan Rice, where do you think he fits into this team? Do you think he gets ahead of Casemiro? Do you think he becomes a box-to-box midfielder? Do you think we go to a double pivot? What would you say would be your where Declan Rice would fit into this team?
He definitely wouldn't come ahead of Casemiro.
Yeah.
I don't know if he'd come ahead of Bruno Fernandes. Maybe Eriksen or Sabitzer, maybe.
Yeah, and I mean, Sabitzer is
he ain't going to come ahead of Casemiro. No chance.
Sabitzer is obviously on a loan, so apparently we're not keeping Sabitzer or Weghorst. So people need to remember that as well. Now we're losing out on Sabitzer and Weghorst. Whether you want to think they're important players or not, the extra squad depth that we now don't have. Yeah. But we'll bring this back to Erik ten Hag's frustration. Now, actually, we'll move on to this one first, actually. Zidane Iqbal leaves Manchester United. Now, Nick, I don't know if you've seen the reports today, but Zidane Iqbal has officially left Manchester United. His official leaving statement has left. But, Nick, what are your thoughts on Zidane Iqbal? Because he was quite an exciting player, and he had a very good pre-season this season with Charlie Savage, and they were definitely the players that we were looking out for this summer with Manchester United. But then, obviously, Garnacho decided to just become a sensational talent, and then he came into the first team, and Charlie Savage went on loan to, I believe it was Forest Green Rovers, and Iqbal couldn't get a loan move. So what's happened there is that Zidane Iqbal, unfortunately, hasn't received the game time. He hasn't become a good enough player. So what are your thoughts on Zidane Iqbal?
I don't think he should have left. I reckon he should have gone on loan for a season, and like other players that have built up and then come back and then seen. Then Erik could have seen where he is then and then gone by that. But I think he's been at the club since he was little, wasn't he? He's been at the club for quite a while.
He's been here for about, I think it's 8 or 9 years it is. But Moise Inacho saying, how you doing, pal? Says, Chelsea rejected the second bid. Yes, they have, mate. They rejected, it was what reported £50 million plus add-ons. So I think that what Chelsea are wanting is a straight up more transfer fee and a little bit more in add-ons. They want the deal to be worth around 60 to 65 million. So I'm going to guess what United need to do is probably pay about £55 million cash or transfer, whatever, and then probably about £10 million in add-ons. So let's say, for example, if Mason Mount wins 4 trophies with Man United, United would have to pay like an extra 5-10 million or something to Chelsea. So, but with Mason Mount being so young, that's probably where the issue is with the extra details in this transfer window. Because for me, I personally feel like that Mason Mount is definitely going to have a very good career. These players like Mason Mount are known to be having good careers after leaving Chelsea. You think back to all them years ago with Kevin De Bruyne leaving, Mo Salah leaving, like Eden Hazard. Unfortunately, he didn't have a very good career after he left Chelsea. But players do seem to go on and have good careers. Mo Salah and Kevin De Bruyne being the biggest names that have come out of Chelsea in recent times. But with Mason Mount, I do think that he's only 24. He's obviously got good relations with the likes of Luke Shaw, Harry Maguire, Marcus Rashford and Jadon Sancho. So definitely he already has chemistry in the United squad. So what position do you think Mason Mount fits in at United? Do you think he becomes the box-to-box midfielder, or do you think he replaces Bruno?
Tough one, I reckon. Somewhere in between both. Somewhere between Bruno and box-to-box.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I personally feel like box-to-box is the best one. And what can happen is that the difference is between Christian Eriksen and Mason Mount is that Mason Mount is better with the press. He's a bit more reluctant. He's a bit more versatile. and he's a lot better with Christian Eriksen. And plus, Christian Eriksen, as we know, is a number 10 when Mason Mount can play in multiple positions. But Moise is disagreeing with us that you can't replace Bruno. Nobody can replace my Bruno. And obviously, Bruno Fernandes, obviously, they're probably the main captain of our team. He is very, very good. And definitely, I'd prefer to see a partnership of Bruno and Mount over Bruno and Eriksen. That's just my opinion. But as we see as well, is that Eriksen doesn't seem to have the legs anymore. He's not physical enough. So definitely having Christian Eriksen coming off the bench is definitely an upgrade. So unlike having Sabitzer coming off the bench like we've had in recent times since January, having Christian Eriksen coming off the bench to help us create a bit more, we might see a better Christian Eriksen next season with Man United. So I am looking forward to seeing that. But moving on to the next part is obviously Erik ten Hag's frustration. Now, with Erik ten Hag, obviously, you can understand why he's frustrated because he has given the list of players that he's wanted for months, and Man United have done absolutely nothing. And when we're selling players like Zidane Iqbal for £1 million, it's not doing anything good to the transfer budget. So I can see why Erik ten Hag's frustrated. I'm frustrated as a Manchester United fan. But Nick, what are your thoughts on ten Hag's frustration? Do you think he has the right reason to be, or do you think that he should have known that with the sale and everything? Do you think he should have been more prepared?
More so, he's got the right to frustrate. Obviously, he, as you know, he's very, very good at scouting players. Obviously, where he come from Ajax, obviously, like Martinez and Anthony, like he knows who he wants to get at. I reckon it's just the Glazers just dragging it out, and obviously it's annoying Ten Hag as much as it doesn't want him to annoy him, but obviously it's just causing the frustration for transfers and who can go, who can come in, and Glazers just delaying the sale, and they want to like that £1 million probably won't go to transfers to buying someone. That's going to Glazers' pocket. They're just profit that.
Yeah, most likely with that, and that's that. Like you said, that's the frustrating thing. But that's what the Glazers have done pretty much the entire time that they've been here. But I saw a tweet this afternoon where people, I'm guessing it was a troll, but this guy put on why United fans complaining about the Glazers? You won a Champions League under them, and honestly, I was like, what, in 2008? Like when we had world-class players, it was crazy to think that a fan, whether he's a rival fan or a Man United fan, the fact that you had the audacity to tweet that, it made my blood boil, to be honest, Nick. And I was absolutely fuming when I saw that. But anyway, with everything, like David De Gea, and there's been no reports on David De Gea recently that he is still set to leave Manchester United. He does want to stay, but from what the club is looking like, that Erik ten Hag does prioritise a goalkeeper this window. So it really depends on how United do this, because if we're going to let David De Gea go, but we're not going to sign any players, we're screwed, because no doubt Tom Heaton isn't good enough. No doubt Matej Kovar isn't good enough. We've got so many upcoming goalkeepers that are decent, but they're no David De Gea, and they can't win us the Champions League, or they can't go deep into competitions. They're just too inexperienced. So, Nick, what are your thoughts on that? Do you think that, because the thing is, it's really messed with my head with what's happened with this news about how the Glazers aren't going to be buying anyone. So, with you, Nick, what do you think on these this report? Because if we're letting David De Gea leave, but we're not going to sign a new goalkeeper, like, what do we do? Like, realistically, what do we do? Do we just sign De Gea a new contract, whether Ten Hag wants him or not? Or do we just try and go out for a new goalkeeper? What do you think?
I'd like to see him stay. Like, he's won Golden Glove. I know he does make mistakes and he lets silly goals in, but it's David De Gea. He's still highly up there. But if he goes, we have to sign another top keeper. You can't rely on the other two that are okay, but they're not nowhere near David De Gea or Premier League, Champions League level.
Yeah, I agree with you that, mate, because obviously whether you want to keep David De Gea or not, it's like he gets so much criticism, in my opinion, because he's not very good at distribution, or he can't come and collect crosses for the ball. But with David De Gea, that can be taught. It's not like that he's incapable of not learning that. That can be coached.
Yeah.
That can be drilled into his game. So as we've said, that David De Gea, obviously, his shot-stopping ability, I still think he's one of the best in the world. He's definitely up there with Courtois. I still think one of the best goalkeepers in the world. But fans will laugh at me for that because he's not an all-round goalkeeper like your Edisons or Allisons or whoever else you want to say, your Onanas, for example. But for me, David De Gea is still a sensational shot stopper. Now, obviously, when I do say that, people do send me that clip of the West Ham that we can see when we conceded to West Ham, where the ball went under his armpit, whatever happened.
Yeah.
So obviously that was a very frustrating moment. But goalkeepers do have mistakes, and David De Gea he is prone to make a mistake at times. But at the end of the day, I personally feel like that David De Gea is a good enough goalkeeper to keep. And we shouldn't be letting him go on a free, especially. And I think that signing him on a 2-year deal is the better thing to do, in my opinion. So, Nick, do you have anything else to add on David De Gea?
Obviously I want him to stay, but obviously if he goes, and obviously we have to prioritise a goalkeeper.
Yeah, who would be your ideal goalkeeper if you could sign anyone?
Edison, Courtois. Which won't happen.
A realistic one, like maybe a Diogo Costa or example, an Onana. Yeah. Who would it be?
Costa or Omana. Omana I quite like to see. He's very good. I quite like to see him come in if David De Gea went, but I'd rather David De Gea stay, get taught things that he needs to improve on, become an Edison and a Courtois goalkeeper, and win Champions League, comfortably get top 4, win FA Cup, and get back up there. But if he does go, then I pick one of those two, probably a Numa, but yeah, I completely agree with that, mate. And Moyes Inacho says that I like to see De Gea stay. At least he should stay and be rotated. I completely agree. And he also says that they should give him 1 more year deal. And he says my ideal goalkeeper is Andre Onana. And mate, I'm with you. Andre Onana. Pep Guardiola's even praised him that with Andre Onana. He's one of them goalkeepers that is absolutely sensational at everything. And Pep Guardiola said that the way they play football, meaning Man City, is that they press the goalkeeper, they press the defence, and they don't give them a minute to think. Andre Onana literally dribbled past Erling Haaland and then kicked the ball out and received it to Darmian like it was ease. So that's what apparently that the idolization is with fans nowadays. And if that's what Erik ten Hag wants, then I back it. And again, like Moyes has said, that Andre Onana is his ideal keeper is Andre Onana. So I would have to say the same, because Onana is definitely one of them goalkeepers that is absolutely world class. And I think that if we missed out on him, it would be a shame, because I don't think you can actually get another goalkeeper out there with that price tag for about 30 to 40 million. Andre Onana is definitely one of them players that definitely suits Manchester United, suits Erik ten Hag's playing style, and I definitely would sign Andre Onana. But last one as well is that Kim Min-jae. Now, Kim Min-jae we seem to be out of the race for, which is very unfortunate. But Kim Min-jae is one of them players that we always got our hopes up for, but United never make them type of deals. I mean, the fact that probably Bayern Munich are going to get Kim Min-jae for a whopping deal of 40 to 50 million pounds for his release clause is an absolute bargain, and he's definitely worth 70 to 80 million in my opinion. So whoever gets Kim Min-jae is definitely getting a brilliant goalkeeper. But the reports on Kim Min-jae to Man United have broken down, and that is very unfortunate. So Nick, who would you say is an ideal replacement for Kim Min-jae now that will not link to another centre back? Don't know. It's hard to say that there's so many you can choose, but it's just, I don't know. It's just you don't know what the budget is from the Glazers. If the Glazers said you got 300 million, you could be like, I'll go and get him. If you've only got like 50 million, it's like you got to sort of like go for like your lower tier players.
Yeah, and I see what you mean with that, but obviously with United, the tax is there. Like some rival fans think that the United tax doesn't exist, but Atlanta were valuing Rasmus Hojlund for a total of about 40 to 50 million euros. United come sniffing at the door. He's now worth 100 million euros apparently. So you're just looking at that, and with Hojlund, brilliant upcoming striker. But with that, he's not worth £100 million. And if Atlanta are going to be wanting that much money for Hojlund, you might as well go and get Victor Osimhen or Harry Kane at that point, because they're definitely proven. Hojlund is still learning. He still is up and coming. And I personally feel like with Hojlund, he's one of them strikers that, yes, suits United. He has the passion. He has the ability. And he's definitely an upgrade on what we currently have. But with Rasmus Hojlund, it's one of them where his potential is unknown, and we don't know what type of striker he can be. He's big, he's strong, he's fast, he's good under press, he's got passion, but it's unknown what type of striker he could be. At least with Harry Kane, you know you're getting a striker that drops deep, helps with the link-up play, and guarantee you 30 goals a season. Victor Osimhen, you know, a dominant aerial threat striker who will get you goals, whose injury record reportedly isn't the best, and it is very frustrating to see with Victor Osimhen, but again, a very sensational striker. And Moyes turns around and says that when Ali Qatari is taking over completely, that's unknown, pal, to be honest. That is unknown, but hopefully
tomorrow will be nice.
Yeah, anytime. It could be literally in the next 10 minutes. It'd be absolutely brilliant, but I honestly wouldn't be surprised if the Qatari deal isn't done by the end of this summer window. And definitely, we probably would. If the Qataris take over, it will definitely be our January transfer window will be our summer transfer window, and kind of like how it was with Newcastle a few seasons ago when they first got took over and they brought in the likes of Bruno Guimaraes and all these other players. So I do think the Qataris will take over eventually, but reportedly at the moment, there's no signs of the sale being done. The Glazers are playing this very smartly, and even if Sergeant Ratcliffe wins, which I don't think he will, but even if he was to win, Glazers out is all that matters in my opinion. But with the Sergeant Ratcliffe deal, obviously it's reported that he wants them to stay as a part of the deal. But Moyes also goes on to say that my ideal replacement for Kim Min-jae should be Antonio Silva of Benfica. That is a brilliant shout. And with Antonio Silva, I don't know, Nick, I don't know if you've heard much of him or seen him, but with Antonio Silva, 21 years old, Portuguese centre-half, a very good season with Benfica this season. Definitely an up-and-coming, brilliant centre-half. And no doubt he'll end up at Real Madrid or City at some point in his career, because the potential this guy shows is absolutely brilliant. Simon, nice to see you in the chat, pal, saying that, yeah, it's ridiculous, Dan, I agree. You are being held to ransom in many ways. Exactly. Yeah. It says, better the devil you know, and said, well said, Dan January. Exactly. And that's the frustrating thing. But United fans also need to be patient. Like, yes, we can say Glazers out until we're blue in the face, but realistically, we have no say in this. Normally, 9 times out of 10, the Glazers will sell out a lot of the home shirts in a few days. When it is announced in 5 days is the kit release. So no doubt we'll have a lot of fans buying the shirt, whether they say Glazers out or not. And that's just a frustrating thing, Nick. Nick, will you be buying the United shirt is the question.
Yeah, I'll still be buying it, yeah.
Will you be? Right, okay.
You will.
Might be. I might keep that on the down low. So, yeah. But if I do, then obviously I am funding the Glazers, but I might buy it off a cheap Turkish website, maybe.
Yeah, don't fund the Glazers.
Exactly, don't fund the Glazers. But anyway, thank you everyone for tuning in. That's been this evening's show. Obviously, I do apologise for the lack of live streams recently, but I have had a few technical issues. But hopefully we are now back up and running. Got the new laptop, so this stream has held out really well. So yes, daily content will be coming back to the channel. I am going to change the schedule a little bit. It's not going to be live streams every single night, but we are going to be doing like videos, YouTube shorts, and also live streams. So if you want to get involved with the channel, message me on Twitter, which is @RedDevilsTV. MUFC. So if anyone wants to follow me and get interested with the channel, obviously you're more than welcome to. Make sure you leave Nick off which way is that way. Yep. Make sure you leave Nick a follow. And yeah, thank you everyone for watching. And obviously Moyes saying take care, stay safe. You too, pal. And sorry, Simon's just asking a question, please. Where do you see United next year? You can wait for that for the next season, because that's what our next show is about. So stay tuned for that, Simon. But honestly, everyone, thank you for watching, and we will see you all very, very soon. Thank you for watching.